Hi everyone, it's me, Miles, at Teach Me Music Academy, and today we're going to be looking at using our metronome. So, especially the pianists out there, we're probably the least likely musician to use one because, you know, most of the time we're playing on our own, right? We don't really need anybody else. I mean, it's cool to play piano in a band. This one maybe doesn't apply so much to keyboard players because you guys probably are playing in bands a bit more. But the piano players who are mostly doing solo stuff, you know, you probably don't worry about timing as much, but actually it's really important because you need to develop your own inner timing, your own inner metronome, right? Or your own inner drummer, if you will. You know, when I'm playing something, especially something, you know, with a lot of rhythm, maybe some kind of funk thing. You know, whatever, right? I'm hearing the drums, right? I'm hearing drums in my head as I play it, and that's something you need to develop even as a solo pianist. Even if you're playing classical music, it's still important that you keep a sense of rhythm. So, practicing with a metronome is one way to do this. You know, if your internal drummer or internal rhythm isn't as good as it could be, a metronome hopefully will straighten that out. You could also use, maybe if you've got a built-in drum machine on your keyboard, maybe you could use some of the drum beats on that as well. But the good thing about a metronome is it doesn't play any kind of pulse. It just plays literally on the beat, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 every time. It's not going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It's not doing any of that. It's just boring, but it is going to help you. Many of you might have built-in metronomes into your keyboards at home. By doing this one, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And I can increase the speed. Right? And I can decrease the speed to, you know, whatever tempo I need it to be. And if for whatever reason you can't download apps, maybe your phone memory is full, don't worry, there is a Google metronome as well. So I'm guessing most of you have access to Google, so as I said, there are literally no excuses. Use a metronome. So here's a Google metronome on my phone. As you see there, it's very simple. You can just type in metronome into the Google search bar, and it should come up. It's literally play, pause, increase and decrease speed, and that's all there is to it. Very simple. So now let's have a look at how to use the metronome in practice. So one good way to use it is if you're playing a difficult passage, or maybe you're practicing some chords, some broken chords, for example. You know, if you've already watched my video on using chords, and you've been practicing your broken chords, this is a good way to do that. So, let's turn on the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change chord. Right. And then, once you're comfortable at that speed, you can increase the speed, the tempo in baby steps. Okay, so that's slightly faster now. Okay, once you're comfortable with that, increase the speed again. Maybe go up by only 5 BPM. So this one is on 110 BPM at the moment. Let's take it to 115. You probably barely even noticed that it was faster, but that's good. Because this is the best way to increase speed with anything you find difficult, is taking the metronome up by baby steps. And before you know it, you'll be playing faster than you've ever played before, I promise you. And by the way, if you don't know what BPM means, BPM just stands for beats per minute. The higher the BPM, the faster the metronome's going to tick, basically. Okay, and then you can increase the speed until, yeah, let's say you've hit 200 BPM. Right, now you can see that was a lot faster than when we started. I'm skipping a few steps here just because, you know, I'm not going to make you sit there and watch me go from 100 to 200 BPM in groups of 5. But that is essentially what you'd do, right? If your target speed was about 200 BPM and you could only play it at 100 comfortably, then take it up by 5s until you get there, until you reach your target speed. That's a really, really effective way of using a metronome. I do this all the time. Let's look at a difficult piece then, a notoriously difficult piece. Let's look at the third movement of Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. So it's this one. I'll play it slowly at first. Okay. So what I would do, I'd set the metronome to a comfortable speed. It's about there. Let's try 140. Okay. So we'll start off at a reasonable tempo. Okay, take it up just a bit. I barely noticed the difference. Okay, I'm going to take it more. Let's skip a few steps now, because I'm very comfortable at that speed. Okay, it's a bit fast now. Okay, again, I am skipping steps, but if you find it more difficult, you know, don't skip any steps. Only go up by 5s, I would recommend. But here we go anyway. Okay, that's comfortable. Let's try this speed. So I'm trying to find out what my limit is here. Okay, I'm kind of reaching my limit a little bit now. Let's try this one. Okay, I could probably do faster than that. Okay, let's try 260. Oops, see, I made a mistake, so then I would go back and try again at the same tempo. If that didn't work, then I'll probably go 5 BPM slower. Okay. Usually what I would do as well, I'd make sure I can play it right at least 3 times in a row at the speed I'm at, and then I move on. But like I said, I'm skipping certain steps just for the consistency of the video, okay? Okay, I'm sort of reaching my limit now. I can feel that it's getting a little bit sloppy. Okay, let's try 300 BPM. I want you guys to watch me fail, basically. Okay, let's try to increase the speed. Let's try 350 BPM. Okay. I think I've broke the metronome. I've reached the limit of the metronome. So unfortunately, you can't quite watch me fail this. But the point I was trying to make is, if you're playing something and you're finding it really difficult to reach the speed that you want to reach, use the metronome, start slower where it's very comfortable and easy, gradually increase the speed. Instead of constantly, constantly failing, drop the speed and use the metronome to bring it up. Now, if you try and increase the speed, arbitrarily, at your own whim, you're not going to increase it by specific values, right? You're not going to be able to go up in fives just in your own head. No one could, at least I don't know any musician who'd be able to do that convincingly. It's just impossible. So you need to use a metronome to give you that sense of structure, that sense of rhythmic structure in your practice. Great, so that's just one way to use a metronome. Obviously you can use it for practicing scales, you can use it for practicing entire songs just to keep the, make sure you're keeping in time for the entire thing. And yeah, I hope that helps you in your practice. Like I said, if you come to something difficult, try and use a metronome and see if you can reach the speed that way. I do this all the time, literally. Okay, cool. So that's a good introduction for using metronomes. This is going to be helpful in later courses as well, more advanced courses, when we get into more detailed rhythmic exercises. We'll probably be using a metronome in those too. So, keep practicing, keep playing, have fun, and I'll see you in another one.